All right, trying to get a hang of this thing. We're having to change software. There's been a lot of effery going around. I don't want to talk about it, but we do have a show that's about to start with our friend Gaby. Let me make sure she's got it. Okay. Okay. All right. Normally wouldn't start till we have her in here, but I got to get used to this new one here. Let's see. We got 6 people in the house. All right. Let me put up the comments. See if we can get some comments, some feedback. Make sure the sound's okay. This is a new format that we're using. Anybody want to drop a comment and just say the sound's good or whatever? Let's see if I can fix the camera. All right. Okay. All right. Hang on. We may have a problem. Well, you just got to adapt to. Hang on. Let me see. No, you're not. You just click it. There we go. Let me see here. Sorry about all this, folks, but we've never been really spit and polish over here. We're always a bit amateurish. Click it. Click it. It works. Just like Zoom, although we're not using Zoom anymore. Click it. It works just like Zoom. All right. Let's see. Hopefully she'll get in here. If not, we're currently not able to go live on Facebook. We're also being restricted several other ways on Facebook. And, here she comes. All right. So we can talk about that later. All right. Boom. Here we go. Okay. Now we want to put you over here. Boom. There you go. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. What is your mic on? Oh my gosh. Sorry about this last minute thing, but we've been getting suppressed by Facebook, and evidently some of these other things that are attached to it. I don't know. Your sound is, hang on, let me see if I can control it here. It looks like your sound is on here. If you look on the little window there. Oh my God. What you can do is try to go out and come back in. You can try that. You go out and come back in. You might have your mic might be attached to another app. So if you restart your computer, it'll automatically default back to the proper setting. Because I can't tell on your end what's keeping it from the sound from coming in, but I'm pretty sure your mic is attached to another app. Hello, Norway. Hello, 𝓖𝓪𝓫 𝓝𝓪𝓡𝓐. Welcome to the show. I think she's going to come back in. I don't know why I'm so blurry. Looks weird, doesn't it? Let's see here. Let me see if I can fix that. So we've been having some problems, but it's not going to stop us. We did 47 shows last month. We'll probably do as many this month. We've got quite a few lined up over the next few days. I'm really excited about that. Let's see if this works, okay? Okay, let's see here. Okay, how's that?
What about now?
There you go. Now you're good.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry about this last minute change, but we just got booted off of Zoom, and thank God I had these backups, but it's been so long since I used it. Yeah, but I'm gonna start using this one again. There's a lot more bells and whistles, and I guess Zoom is in cahoots with Facebook, and I even got turned down by Telegram here recently, so I don't know what that's all about. But I'm not going to worry about it. Just so everybody know, if it's just so you know, we're presently banned from going live on Facebook, so I'm going to upload this video. I'll upload it to Facebook after the show, so it should be up in about 2 hours. We have a returning guest. It's probably been about 4 years, maybe 5 years since we last spoke. And
I think
no, you know what? It's been 2 years. I saw it. I saw it on the calendar. It was actually about 3 years ago, 2.5 to 3 years ago. And so, yeah, a lot's going on in that time. Welcome back to the show. Thank you for coming in and sharing space with us and honoring us with your presence. There's been a lot go on in 2023, 24, and 25. It really has been.
A lot.
It seems like everything changed after the solstice in 24, which was the end of that 12-year period that the Mayan calendar cited in 2012, December 21st.
Mm-hmm.
And then these first 9 days of January of 2026 have just been mind blowing. And then
Wow.
we're headed into a 111 day tomorrow and a 1111 day on the 11th. And there was a 111 day on the 1st. I got to believe there was a corridor of some kind from the 1st to the 10th. So I would
Mm-hmm.
imagine we're about to get chewed up and spit out and something's going to happen. But welcome back. Thanks for coming in. And what's been going on?
Oh, hello, hello. It's just amazing to be back. That's the first thing I want to say. I really appreciating that you offer this space, not just for me, for so many others who have all their little pieces to add that we kind together more smoothly sail with these new waves, which are just, like you said, not just now banging in, but particularly 2025 was just like incredible. There was no time breathing, but just release, healing, transformation, like constantly something was coming up, not just, as you know, probably for you as well, me, like so many people who were just sharing as well in my work. Because for those who don't know yet, Gaby NaRA from Slovenia, but I'm a multidimensional quantum healer. I would say now channel since early age. Probably I was 2 years old and I already started to talk to, like trees, to animals, to all the beings. And I didn't understand what's going on actually with humanity, or particularly now my parents who were maybe fighting at that time. And I went to the tree and just saying like, why aren't they in love? This was really the begin for me. Okay, so because I felt more understood in nature than I would say now from humans at that point already. And many times I grabbed myself as well, almost like a third person, third being standing around and looking at Gabi and saying, oh my God, you're now 8 years old, get back into the body. You have now this role, so keep rolling that role, okay? So things like that for the people who might first time see me and just understand a little bit what is actually my work. So for me, it's almost like a blasting time now, and not just for me but so for so many others who were the whole life maybe more in those in between worlds, the other realms, than actually being anchored here. And what I see now is like really more and more we all are getting into the body, into the earth, almost like the first time ever, as deep as now. And that's actually more why I as well wanted to kind of come on and share a bit more what was revealed for me, like, or to me in this past few months, that I think many might gain from it or get inspired, motivated, because it's as well about practical steps, right? To get into this new wave and not only just, okay, we are now awakening, 2026 is here, and, let's do that fast. But what does this mean? And that's more what I'm interested as well from my view or from my guidance to share a bit around that too. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds
So should
perfect.
I?
I love the fact that we just jump right into it. It's been such a chaotic 45 minutes going on Zoom, and that's being shut down, and then getting this pulled
Mm.
together and doing, trying to get my head together. So, yeah, I'm glad that you really jumped into it like this. I also want to recognize what you said because I feel like a lot of people's memories are coming back, and you're not the first one that said it recently on the show. Another two sisters said the same thing, and basically they said it in a little different way, but it was the same thing, which was, you know, early on in our younger years, And I'm saying that as it happened to all of us because I just believe that a great many of us hadn't remembered. But there was this soul consciousness was definitely conscious in our body, and we were aware of it. And there was kind of a message like, I don't want to be a little kid and have to grow up slowly in this weird environment and try to figure this stuff out. So there was a real, that feeling of I want to go home, I don't belong here, and then having to deal with that at the same time of the human conditioning and the traumas and such, and at the same time, kind of refining our sensitivities and our skills and abilities, and here we are in 2026. So I'm real anxious to hear, curious to hear, like even if I just take last year, because you said a lot. How would you summarize 2025? Like that was a really different year than all of these years going back to 2012.
Yes. That's for sure. And of course, many know by now that it was this year nine, right? That kind of nine already presents that finish line because after it's 10, but 10 is always that one again. But it's more than that. It was rather a push, what I felt from the higher guidance, which is anyway our higher self, our soul. We are talking about our heart, that was pushing like, okay, guys, we know what 2026 will bring in from the capacity of light, okay, which is consciousness, and so much banging with the solar flares. We know that 2025 was full packed with it, with the reason that we are actually receiving a basically speeding up transformation in packed in a few months, right? We can say now this year, that last year. And this was like not anymore hanging into this when we recognize, okay, we have patterns, we have wounds, we have all sorts of programs. This matrix is so awful and they programmed us and all of that. Okay, we understand that, but what happens after the understanding? And the understanding is that, hey, we have to mature, and we mature spiritual, and that's actually the soul knocking and saying, guys, we don't want anymore, or I mean, I'm saying it now really in a practical way, we don't want anymore to keep the same loop forever. Even a loop is at some point done, okay? Because it's behind that always evolution. And evolution is not in our hand. It's actually beyond even nature. It's like in this massive field that there is never any stopping. And when the point comes that in that circle or cycle of evolution, you almost, we could say, hit that wall. Now we learned what we learned from fears, from patterns, from this, from that, from all sorts, what we had. Now it's actually time, and this is what I'm gonna then continue sharing as well with 2026. We are coming not just again this astrologically from the fire horse and everything speeding up. Of course, it's speeding up if we received already so much light. It's actually even logical. So this means everything will start to spin faster. But when you are in your center, and that was as well the practice from the last year, not just, okay, release, but what then? And stabilize, release, stabilize, release, stabilize. That was actually the work, and that we trained for that, because everything will then energetically speed up. But at the same time, it's about us to get more silent, more in peace, and that the anchor within us will not be anymore the tree outside, which I can hug and say, I'm now grounded, or I'm getting barefoot out onto the grass field, but it's actually the anchor is becoming what we trained now, and many are, of course, we're all still training, that this anchor you have to find now within your heart, because there is the eye of the storm. So everything will shift more rapidly, rapidly, rapidly. But this means then, hey, I can't hold onto the place, onto the same people I knew, because of course we are shedding that more and more and more. So where can I find that place where I'm actually, I will say now for the mind, safe, peaceful, right? Like calm or shelter. It's just here. Okay. Do I have the camera? Isn't that good, right? Or the connection? I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, you're
But
good.
yeah.
Yeah, you're fine. We can see you just fine. Were you having problems on that end?
Oh,
Were you having a problem? Was your camera having a
I
problem?
don't know.
No, you're
No, it
fine.
was just like blurry or something.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
perfect.
So yes, you said a lot there. I mean, and I, this is kind of where I'm sitting today talking to you. Like
Hmm.
last night in dream state was very strange. I woke up at 5 o'clock and I was having lucid dreams, and this is kind of what it came out to. And I want to ask you about it. So for a long time, even if you go back to Dolores Cannon's work, but certainly if you go back to you and some of your sisters out there and a few of the brothers, talking about this bifurcation, talking about a split. And people have talked
Mm.
about a split, and they've talked about a split. They said there's going to be two Earths. They've said we're going to be standing side by side. They said they won't see us
Mm.
anymore, or we'll see them, or whatever. But it really feels like that's happening now. If we look
Mhm.
at what you just described, because I think a lot of people can relate to this in 2025, that is weird and wacky and distorted as the world was, we all grew in that inner peace, in that self sourcing, and we became more embodied, and our fields grew bigger and stronger and more stable. But at the same time,
Mhm.
you've got crazy stuff going on around the world. And we know it's a
Yeah.
distortion and a distraction, and it doesn't seem to be taking our attention like it used to. And I'm just
Mhm.
wondering how that affects you and those that you interact with, in your work, in the service that you're in, like with other sisters or clients. Like, how is that
Mhm.
affecting people, or is it not affecting people? Where do you see that going? Is it a factor for you in your daily life? Do you even worry about who's bombing who and who's invading what country and all this other stuff going on?
Mhm. Yes, long question. But I would say it's really always about the choice you have in that one moment. So we are always, it doesn't matter in which time of on this planet we lived, even if it was 500 years before or it's coming in the future, it's always the choice when you receive, see, feel, hear information, right? Because it's constantly, it's just an information field. So the information was never now, I would say, only beautiful or only, I don't know, about war. It was always just a mixture of everything here on this planet because we went through so many different epochs. So it means we were sometimes more in a golden age, then we were also in a destructive age, then we were like, this duality game was going on forever. And this means, of course, till we are still as well here. So this means I'm sitting in this room, I'm talking to you in this house. I have parents sitting somewhere and having their own world going on. And that's exactly my choice is that I right now creating with Todd this conversation. And because we two are now diving so deeply in our chat, I didn't for one second think about that in this house are still some elder parents and so on and so forth. So you see, this means that this is already this kind of sensation we are talking about that you almost forget that this exists because it's not in your energetic vibrational level, right? Because they are in a completely more, I don't know, they're watching maybe now TV and the news and what's going on, and everyone is in stress. But I'm happy here with you now to share this information to, to the people, that there is also this other world. And before I came in, I mean, already the whole day, I get as well this information to actually share it in such a practical way, which is that the moment we get stuck in the head, right, in the mind, like, oh, there is war, there's politician, there is all sorts of stuff. Of course, you're completely immersed in the 3D. The moment you switch, and I'm like, in such a joyful conversation with a beautiful friend here, or brother, or soul, then actually I'm dropping into the heart space, because I'm, in this vibrational, and that's already as well 5D, what we are talking here, because we are, as you see, existing simultaneously in the 3D. I'm on a bed and so on, and I'm also in the 5D with you now. So this is learning about multidimensionality, not to deny, not to fear what's going on with 3D, or what the rule and spectrum of this frequency is in that dimension, or what it is in this dimension, and so on. And I will then also later share a bit more, because I was lately having many journeys to Gaia's heart with clients, and what was going on in the inner world, okay, in the inner earth of this planet, and so on. And so it is actually more about, it will, of course, pass you, right? We will not walk like this, like close the eyes and ears and say, I'm now in 5D, I'm now in 5D. But we are actually noticing rather information, but not reacting, especially not, it's not affecting you energetically in that manner by triggering, if you're at this, of course, other state, right? Or higher emotional feeling, like joy or openness. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think what a lot of people, I've noticed a lot of people talking about over the last couple of years, especially this last year, has less been about the global stuff, right? It's been less about Israel and Russia and government and politics and Epstein, and it's been more about our personal experiences and those people that we've interacted with, a lot of them for most of our lives, be they partners or ex-partners, parents or sisters or brothers or friends, how people who were talking about last year, how all of these connections are dropping away. Some of them are remaining in a transformed manner, and some of them are
Yes.
coming back to the table in a transformed manner. You know, another way to put it would be, we have a few things in common, all of us, without even discussing it. You know, one, we're a soul, right? And this has been a part of our internal guidance system that has allowed us to carve out the path that we have, that we all ended up at the same place, a crazy place like SOULOGY maybe, you know? But the other part of it is, we've been subjected to the human condition. And anyone in a body has gone through the range of emotions and their own forms of pain and suffering and trauma, and that has been the raw material for us to alchemize into the present situation. So what I was going to say, the third thing being, all this work that we've done all these years that didn't seem to be paying off in equality. You know, it'd be like we take 2 steps up and then 1 back, and then 2, you know, and it was just a constant thing. That seemed to change last year. And I guess what I'm saying is, I feel that what we're starting to really see is the spiritual confidence that we have within ourselves and therefore each other, that's basically proving out based on all of the shadow work we've done, all of the self-responsibility and self-accountability and self-sourcing that we have come to. And the universal energy is reciprocating us right away. So it's weird, because you're right. You know, like I talk to people such as that, family members such as that, and as you were talking about, and we don't even talk about those things anymore. Like, they don't bring them up anymore. They used to bring them up, and I'd be like, I don't want to talk about that. But it's not even has to be said anymore now. So there's something that's permeating, into the generations forth and the generations back based on the work we've done and that we're doing and that we will continue to do. So I think that's a real kind of a wild card, kind of under the radar. You're not going to hear about it on podcasts. You're not going to read about it on the internet or in the paper or in a movie or whatever. It's kind of like almost like a secreted original Earth grid that's being turned on, and we're able to see each other in this telepathic field and know things and come together on things like we never had before, or at least not in our recent memory. Thank you.
Yes, completely agreeing on that, because like I said, it's not in only in our hands regarding that process, but it is organically the process of evolution. Like we had, before, the animals in a different form, and over thousands or millions of years they changed and so on. And it's not something which they influence with, if they ate grass or if they chosen something else, but this is like this bigger plan, which is always like a perpetuum mobile, right? Like keep going and keep going and keep going in different layers, forms, structures, geometries, and so on. But what you said regarding those closed ones, and this is actually something which is screaming that I have to talk about it, which is actually the soul saying, is that now with this nine closure, right, or this number one starting now, we are actually getting the opportunity. I would say opportunity, because still some might, lack a bit and later get into that. But these first waivers, and this can be thousands or 100,000 or millions, it doesn't matter, or it is all optional. It's open. So I'm not doing prediction on that, but it's rather to say that we all have now the opportunity for new roles, because the old role was, for example, taught with this form of astrology, or you did it before in a different way, or maybe now you want to do it less or suddenly more, or maybe you now want to play just guitar and once a year do that. This is now where the soul is coming in and saying, you already mastered all this version, what Gaby was with the parents, with the same circle, with this land, with even with my job. And these people will start to feel now like a sense of, hey, actually I'm almost like able now to choose something else. Before I thought, oh, I can never get out of it, or my parents hold me back, or this holds me back. But this was still this loop where we thought that we are, of course, this kind of victim, right? And now this 2026 will almost not allow you, your soul will not allow you, because you're now in a bigger process of this evolution, yes, of humanity, of universes, of Gaia, that you think that you're still able to hide that I am a victim. I don't have the money, I don't have this, I don't have that, and so on, because we chewed it till the death. Okay, it's like over and over. And of course it will feel a bit like the 0 point now, particularly still January, February, towards March, still what I feel, because it's almost like this end tail of 2025. It's still a little bit here, and it's good. You know why it's good? Because it would be too fast for our body systems to already run completely on this new frequency. So the news is that, yes, we have now the open field, we have green light, because this is now the bigger, higher order, opening it all up, the opportunity, and the soul is happy, screaming like, oh my God, finally I can put off this old clothes and get a new role. Because what is actually also this new role? It's your hidden potential. We didn't tap into so many things in our self yet. Okay, so maybe suddenly you're going to find out, oh my God, I'm so good in, I don't know, cooking, in building houses, I'm actually architect, I'm this and that. And that's what the soul wants. It just wants, please give me new um, ways of growing. Yeah, because it wants experiences.
Yeah, and yeah, well said. And even to the point you were talking about, yeah, like maybe you do this now, maybe you don't do this now. Like, in the middle of 2023, I stopped doing. Well, I didn't stop. I started doing like 8 or 10 shows a month, where I'd been doing almost 70 a month for several years. And everything seemed to get deconstructed. Everything seemed to get taken back down to nothing. Relationships, business, living situation, money, possessions, everything seemed to get down to nothing. And I think the point that you're making is really good, because we've had this thing where, through a big part of our journey after 2012 was about shadow work, because we were over identifying with these traumas, or we were over externalizing blame onto a victimizer or oppressor, and then we kind of got a handle on that, and then it became these things that helped us wake up, like SOULOGY for me, or like a past life memory, or a certain skill that we downloaded, like light language or this or that. And we over-identified with those things. And it's like the universe said, okay, now we're going to clear the past. Now we're going to clear your future. Now you don't have any identity but what you have right now. So it doesn't matter if you've done 4,000 talk shows. You don't ever have to do another one again. You can do 4,000 more. You can do 0 more. But what do you really want to do? And that's where I'm finding myself. I didn't know I'd be living in a place like this. I didn't know I'd be where I'm at. But what's happened? I'm in nature. I'm enjoying what I do every day, even if it means I have to sleep 12 hours like I did yesterday, because that's what the universe says you need to do. And that's another thing. Like the clocks and the rhythms of our lives, as we were programmed through the calendar and the clock, is going away too. So it's a whole new game. And then on top of all that, you have this. It's not just like us anymore. Now you have the animal kingdom, elementals, the ocean kingdom. You have a stronger presence of galactics, angelics. You have nature. Everything's, the time's doing weird stuff. Space is proving not to be what it was. And so all of this information coming in at one time, and you're like going, okay, wait a minute, that's a lot of information. And then the universe kind of says, and comes in and just says, hey, just relax. Just relax and do what you want to do. Like, is that how this works? Like, I'm just supposed to be me? And that's what makes the universe run at its highest potential? Oh, my God. Like, it sounds like a cliche or some kind of funny saying, but it's real. Thank you.
It's very real. It's very, very real. And it's beautiful that you mentioned the kingdoms, because I want to also tap into that through my work that I then often do. I call them like journeys, activations, transmissions, where I actually take then, of course, the group into those different spaces, right? Spaces means nothing else than consciousness. We're shifting from now this being here and going into inner earth and Agartha and all sorts of places, just to explain a bit. And lately, and this is now big news too, I mean, I appreciate this news, is that the master dragons are awake. And I learned when I was, I think it's now 2 years or maybe a bit more, in Ireland. And there is, what is his name? Rory Duff, who is like a really big master regarding dragon lines all over the world. And I had the pleasure to meet him there on some activation place gathering. And he actually told us that when a master dragon line, not just ley lines, not just dragon lines, a master dragon lines activates, and those are just a few on this planet, not now thousands, okay, that their incredible fast consciousness wakes up. You could almost say weeks, months, and not like, generations. So in these master dragons, I had now as well the pleasure through my work to meet them. So one is one of these master dragons is a ruby one, and he is a guardian of Kilimanjaro. There is a big, big portal, okay, Africa. And it was incredible because this was a journey of trilogy body healing work, which I get channeled through the Brotherhood of the Light. Okay, so this means like the Great White Brotherhood. So those who don't know, all the masters like Yeshua, others are actually a collective of that. And I don't want to jump now too much, but I'm gonna also share regarding that because it's important, beautiful work. So in this last part, we went into Kilimanjaro, okay, and I saw, or we met this ruby dragon, and actually he explained because there were these eggs everywhere, that these eggs actually contain, and they are now here, they are cracking on our planet within the earth. They contain a certain new frequency of plasma light, which actually we could taste it, or we could have the experience, and it was such a blissful joy. So the emotions we till now experience in the 3D humans, okay, were completely okay. I saw that I don't have my. I need to charge. One
Well, that's
second.
okay. Yeah.
That that my I have it here. That the feelings, the emotions we humans have here now in the 3D are like their own range. Let's call it like that. Like joy is like joy, love like love. I mean, all these feelings. But when we go, of course, into the 5D, and in this is this new plasma I'm talking about, is actually completely updated, like everything. Like when you update a color, it's just this, it's green, but it's glowing green, for example. Okay. But one second, where is it?
Yeah, it's like you've seen a lot of people pull this stuff in the last year, real quick. One is like new sacred geometry, another is like new colors and rays. Like people would call
Yeah.
them off-planted or colors or geometries that we haven't been able to see before. And then I wanted to say too about the dragons. You know, there's a lot of people coming into, like I've noticed since May, when I started back in May, started doing like 40, 50 shows a month again. I noticed a lot of new people coming into the shows. Like it's about 2 out of 3 are new, right? So there's a lot of people coming into these spaces now that aren't as familiar with some of the discussions because they haven't been here. One of these would be about dragons. And so what I'm trying to say is that what I noticed toward the end of last year, like the last 4 months of the year, in my own experience, but also in the work I was doing and talking to other people, there were a lot of people talking about, maybe they used different words. They may not have said master dragons. Some may have, but some were saying like the original dragons, the ones that laid the ley lines down, the ones that were protecting the original grid as the distortion and the inversion came in. So I'm just trying to make a point that there are many, many people, and you know this, in our communities that have been seeing and feeling and getting the same information and experiencing the same type of thing. And I think that's a very important distinction to make because it sounds like it's something that's fantasy or fairy tale, or what does that mean? Is it a metaphor? Is it symbolic? No, this is part of our root existence. It's part of the Mother Earth's root existence. The dragons are essential foundational elements of her being and of our being. So it's a very, very important thing to, and please let us know anything else that you have come across in regard to the dragons or anything else.
Yes. So that's completely right. It's like a part, of course, of the nature forces, when you want to say that, but forces like the guardians of Gaia's garden. That's why I love, I mean, to state it like that. And they are indeed the closest to the grids from her. Now we are talking about as well this energetic physically, which was like laid down. So not just only the galactics, they were then seeding that, yes, but from the structure of the fabric of this reality, it was coming from Gaia. And Gaia has, of course, her different forces, expressions. When we just talk about the elements, right, like fire, earth, water, all of that, it's like a alchemy. And this alchemy, each of this alchemy has, of course, or the section has, of course, their guardians. And no, it's not fantasy, but what is now very important to understand, that all of those forces, all of these dragons, all of this is actually part of our body. And when you understand that, then you know why we need preparation to not just hold such energy, such forces once again in harmony and balance, okay? But as well, how to.
Oh, I don't know what happened there. Was that me or her? I think her power just ran out. I know she plugged it in, but she must not have been able to do it. I see Polaris AB's in the house. I believe that's Paul Dobry. He's coming in from Kilimanjaro, Tanzania. Yeah, I think that's her that tuned out. Let me just see here. I don't think that's me. Let's see here. It looks like I'm still going. Oh yeah, she'll come back. But yeah, and she mentioned at the end there, what kind of rebutting what I was saying about some people look at it as fantasy. I meant people coming into this thing, like a lot of us, when we started to get introduced to this whole part of our multidimensionality and existence. My point and my reference about using the term fantasy is that really anything tied to the imagination, our imaginary friends when we were little, fairy tales, whatever, these things that were suppressed in us are real. And so let me see what's happening with her here. I think she's, you don't have a video. I think your power must have gone out. If you can hear me, you might need to restart your computer and come. Oh, there you are. There you are.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back. Okay, I was just filling in the blanks for him.
Yes, I actually forgot that we are kind of having Slovenia under heavy snow,
Oh, okay, I got
and
you.
some electricity might
Yeah,
be
yeah,
somewhere going on, and all of that stuff.
yeah. We
So
go through
yeah,
that in Mexico on the hot
but I
days.
was saying, okay.
Yeah, we're
So I
good.
was saying regarding the powers, the elements, and all of that, the dragons, that's us, that's our power, and that's something what we will slowly reclaim. But it's not only to say I have now my own dragon, and it's so amazing that I can see now a dragon or something, but it's more than that. It's like, how are you able with your own physicality, with your body, to hold such forces, and not just to hold but to work with them? Okay, that's how we're gonna not just but to, yeah, in a way, reshape this new reality with those kind of forces. And this is like the kingdoms we're talking about.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
and that's
That's what I was.
something what my body, yeah,
No, there's a lag. Keep going. Keep going.
sorry, yeah,
No, no, it's not you. Keep going.
yeah, and that's exactly what was the learning in the past few weeks and months, that we have to start really as most highest priority to take this body, to learn about the physical body, because it is the earth, it is Gaia. Okay, our body is Gaia. We're just seeing the bigger Gaia outside, but it's actually again, we are the particle of that physical big body. And people very often forget this still, that it's our body which is birthing this new earth. And how is it birthing? Through actually learning about and become a guardianship of your own body, which we were before disconnected, not like me, but like many along the way. Okay. Because you can't shift, neither hold higher frequency, neither be with dragons or with nature beings or forces or kingdoms if you're not connected with the body. And that means connected with Gaia.
That's right. I think they like that. I just had to play that.
What's that?
No, but there's a lag. There's a bit of a lag between us, a little space between words. But no, this is what I was saying. Exactly what you're saying is when I use the word fantasy, that people look at things as fantasy. Even many of us did, as we started to reawaken and go, is that real? Why is Archangel Michael talking to me? Why am I hearing voices, or whatever the case is? I don't know if you're still there. You might have lost your power. But yeah, what she was saying, I agree with her, because it's not about, we've been living in a world that is asking us to live inside the confines of what's been presented to us as the full extent of reality. Okay? And so what's been suppressed, avoided, discouraged has been what's beyond the visible light spectrum, what's beyond our five senses. And, at first blush, we want to look at it and say, oh, these things are outside of ourselves, when the reality is they are inside of us just as much as they are outside of us. And I think that's the real point that she's making. Yeah. Yeah, I was just restating exactly what you said, just saying that that's what I was talking about when I mentioned the word fantasy, and how people can look at something like dragons and so many other aspects of our awakening and say, oh, well, that's not real or whatever. But the whole point is, that is what's real. Like everything that we've been told, that this is the borderline of your reality. It has to be scientifically proven, or it has to be this, or it has to be that. That's not it. It's on the other side of that. It's the dragon energy, and it's not out there. Like you said, it's within us. So the only way that these things really get turned on is if we connect the dots to the connection we have within ourselves and believe. Because if I was told when I reawoke in 2011, I was given the word faith, but they said it's not the word you think. And I looked it up, and it said transitive verb, to trust and believe. And that's all it said. And I've never forgot that. So, we buy into the narratives that have been presented to us, and we've moved out of it. But I'm saying the reason those things perpetuated and lived on was because we believed them. So now the universe is basically saying, hey, believe in yourself, because everything is inside of you. And it's not just some fancy saying from a sacred book. It's not that. This is the real thing. But you got to walk the talk. You can't just say it.
Yes. And the talk is coming actually now. When I said before that we are maturing, right? That we are growing up, that this was this fast, speeding, healing transformation, because it's time now to stop hiding in this childhood wounds, because we all had these patterns actually from still being young, right? Because when you're an adult, you can always shift. But because many were still playing the victim, like I'm not strong enough, I can't do that, I can't believe in myself, I don't have the strength, I don't have the courage, and all of that. A grown up who is healthy grown up wouldn't say that. So it was still this inner children talking. And now it's time that we need actually, yes, it's a need, our grown-ups, and we are here grown-ups. So that's why this fast acceleration with transformation and healing and so on. So I hope you can still hear me.
No, I hear
I
you.
don't
I
know
hear
why
you.
it's
I
so
hear you 100,000%.
today. Yeah, I
No,
thought it's
no, I
better.
hear you. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I hear you. It's cutting out. That's all. I hear you though. It's just you say something and it takes about 10 seconds for the words to get over here and vice versa. I think her power is having problems. But no, she brings up a great point. And it's as you know, when we think about the identities that we've had to let go or we're faced with having to take on something that we know is a prerequisite to further expansion, which is to lose identities. We think of the ego. We think of, oh, I think I'm all this because I can do that, or I can do this, or I was this in a past life, or whatever the case is. When in the reality, it was the identities that we created as a result of traumas. It's the identities that we created as a result of successes. And I guess what it really has come down to is what she's talking about in terms of the victim consciousness, which is everybody's pain is the same, period. Now, I'm not saying it's the same from my perception in regard to myself. That's a very personal thing. But what I'm saying is at the end of the day, from the universal's set of eyes and lenses, all of our pain is the same. All of the suffering is the same. These are words that are connotated to the earth experience specifically. They don't even exist in this higher dimensional environment that we're stepping into and building and creating, right? And so that's a big part of the identity that we don't think about. Oh, my pain, but my journey was harder than yours. Let me tell you why. What's the difference between that and then telling somebody what your higher skills and abilities are to let them know that you are so different than everybody else? No, we're all the same. Every one of us is the same. And the only difference is to what degree does any one of us, you or me, how aware of we are of ourselves, and as a result of that, by virtue of that, we will be more and more and more in a higher percentile of our mission, of our purpose, of our strength, of our contribution, of our piece of the universal puzzle in this incarnated form here on earth at this time. And that's really the other side of these losing the identities and losing the mask, is we're able to fulfill our role with our greater awareness of ourselves, which with that parallels higher skills and abilities and sensitivities, etc. And we're able to shine, shine, shine. And as we're also starting to figure out, everybody's a mirror. I don't care who it is. Every situation is a mirror. The boundaries that we put up, the walls that we put up, the mask that we put up, they're all coming down now. We don't have a choice. And that's a good thing, because the more that we take on what is externally presented to us, okay, and not run from it, and respect it and honor the fact that it's right before you. It's not somebody imposing their will on you, because we've moved beyond in the level of evolution. We become more multidimensional in an environment that was very dense, and it's just starting to really figure it out. We're starting to figure this out now. We're starting to realize there's nothing to fear. Nothing to fear. And, you know, the interesting thing is, in my early 20s up to my early 40s, I read literally 3,000 books. And I loved to read at the time, before the internet came out. And I loved to study the sacred texts and the old religions and philosophies and the secret fraternities and Rudolf Steiner and Kant and Nietzsche, all the different people, right? Everything that was out there. And two things I noticed. One, every religion had its own form of the golden rule, which is basically what goes around comes around. And the other one was that they had in common is repeatedly they would say in the text, there's nothing to fear, fear nothing, right? Oh, you're back. Here we go. Oh, now your voice is off. Oh, okay, hang on, I got you. Okay, now.
I'm on my phone. We are never giving up. Okay,
No, you're
so
good.
yes. Oh, I even look better on this one. Why didn't I do it from the beginning? So, okay. Wow, I feel the dragons actually. That's why so much heat is coming up now. Whew. So what I want to share as well, it's very important for the people, is when these dragons awake, okay? Again, please mirror it with your own body. Means dragon lines awake within your body, right? It's beyond just being some meridians, okay? It's much more. Is our inner nature forces from what actually this body is created of, right? And these are as well our guardians. And when we get back into the sacred space and place with our own body, like I was saying, is as well like meeting those forces. And some, even myself, I had some few months ago, I think 2 months or three, my own experience with one of these master dragon awakening through my body. And the whole night I've been like, I thought I can't take it because it was massive, massive power. Okay. So it's not a joke we're talking about. That's why it's not La La Land, it's not fairy dust and so on, but it's raw energy of this planet, raw energy we are having stored within our physical body. That's why we are electromagnetic, we are the volcanoes, we are all of that. And that's now something to get back on track with our understanding. So what we're looking, and it's like outside and awakening through, this volcanoes, earthquakes, that's actually our powers within our body as well. So it might feel at some moments like, okay, is this now our Kundalini? Is this now, you don't even need to place it all with those names we knew till now, it's beyond. And that's what you said before. The laws are changing. So we can't use anymore just the words we knew in the 3D, which were working, but it's now that we need to use new things. And from where will we get those new expressions and this new wisdom? The sacred wisdom is from Gaia. Okay, so this means how will this body function is a lot what she will again remind us of, teach us the sacred wisdom. Okay, this is now from the Nagas, etc., but it's again beyond even that. And in this last journey, which I did to actually Gaia, okay, it was incredible. I never saw that before. That was for me new as well. We know the expression tree of life, right? But I saw that actually it's growing directly from the heart of Gaia, and it's pulsating, and it's eternal, means it goes and into source, into eternity. That's actually the tree of life. And when we are plugged back into that, that's where we're gonna get the resources, this power, this youth, this eternal life. Okay, it's not from this limitation which we were looking in the outside, from the food, from the plant. Yes, they're all plugged in. That's why we love to eat it or to smell it, because there is the vibration of it in it. But it was just actually limited, right? So that's why we have to plug directly into this heart of Gaia to be in one pulse. She really showed it me like that, in one pulse with her. Because when we are coherent again with her frequency, of her rhythm, organic rhythm, then we're gonna slow down in this trust, or what you were saying, faith, trust, all of it, because then you're gonna be carried. But at the same time, it's not just a fluffy thing, but it's more carried in this inner knowing, but at the same time have all this power, like a volcano has, like the earthquake has, all of these forces. And now imagine, how does this work? Because it's coherent. You know who you are, you are plugged in, but you are as well knowing how to use it. And that's when we are becoming sovereign. Okay, sovereign means not I'm a victim, I'm a baby, please help me, give me this, give me that. You are starting to take this ownership of your body, of this planet, of your life. That's your journey. Like you said, there is no other. It's just you. It's just me. So,
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Yeah, yeah, I'm probably going to make some people mad, but I think you brought up a really good point. I still see, and I'm just going to say the truth, I still see a lot of victim consciousness in the Lightworker and Starseed pages. I do. I still see victim consciousness and their patterns, I think, that have come from what we needed. We needed that time. We needed that time to support each other and find out what our traumas were and try different processes and modalities. But we're on the other side of something now. So I see people say, we need to do this together. We have to support each other. And I think there's two ways. There's two ways to take that. One way is the old way, where I'm going to support your story. So therefore, even if it's unconscious, I'm going to support your victim consciousness, and that shit's not going to go away. The other way that I see happening now is when you and I, or you and I and others, or whatever, can have a conversation, and we can talk about the reality of our evolution and awareness on an individual basis and say, hey, this about the dragons, or I was at the ocean and I saw two sirens in the ocean and they talked to me, or these cats talked to me, or this horse talked to me. And we can talk about these experiences that were once not to be allowed to be talked about unless you were in a psych ward or in jail or somewhere on an island or in a cave by yourself. But now that's real support. That's real support. And there is no victim consciousness in that conversation. It's simply acknowledging the imagination, intuition, creativity, telepathy, the courage it takes to have a conversation like that, and really the widening understanding that the more we exchange our personal stories and everything they involve, specifically those things that society said were not real or we couldn't talk about, we're turning on code. We're turning on code in each other. That's what's happening. We're actually helping each other remember. So that's the real support. There's no I need to support you, you're having a tough time. Well, we've all had tough times and we're going to continue to have them from time to time. And we know through the dark nights of the soul, it doesn't matter how many friends you have because it's just you and the universe, and that's it. Nobody else is there. You can have 100 people in the room with you, but if you're going through a dark night of the soul, and thank God now, they don't last 3 months, they last 3 hours. so but yeah, I just think that I think that's a really good point that you made, because there's no in-between space anymore. You're either back where we came from or you're in this present state. And when you're back where we came from, we had this guarantee of like, well, if you do this and you do that, then this is what you're going to get. If you go to get an education, you get a job, you go to work, you retire, you have money in the bank, and then you die and you pay for your funeral. But this way, it says, make the leap. You're on the other side. And then we would naturally say, okay, well, what's in front of us once we do this? I don't know. That's the whole thing. You're in a space of that faith, that trust, and that I don't know. But you're okay with whatever happens, basically. And you're functioning at the highest level you ever have been because you've let go of all this stuff and you're present in the moment. And I know that sounds like pretty talk, but this is the reality. And with that reality is some cold, hard truths, which is we have to let go. We have to let go of these things that we never thought we were attached to in the first place. We thought that was just normal. No, it's not. And you're right. The victim consciousness is evaporating very quickly.
yes, and also those roles like the martyr, the savior, this is all actually the same in a different color when we're talking about, are you really supporting or are you sacrificing yourself and you think you're helping? Okay, this is all the old roles or the old roots in the 3D. That was what it was available. That's what we were like, trying out, figuring out, hurting each other, and then being mad about each other, then forgiving each other. All of these things were in the range of what was available. But now it is like, because you were saying the split of the earth, that's exactly the point. That are you still, that you are in a kind of separation? So this means someone will be higher, someone will be lower. You have more, I have less. You are above me, I'm below you. These are all still where we are not eye eye to eye talking. And this is the point you made 2 minutes ago, that it feels so good that we can meet now eye to eye. And that's the maturing. That's like, I don't see that Todd needs now my help, my explanation, but we can share, because in that sharing eye to eye, we are in this unified field where we are don't know, then we are not saying, oh, he's a poor guy, or oh, she's amazing, or above or below, and so on. Because that's the split. We are not really in the unified field. That's the split. This is one world, this is the other world we're talking about. So it will not be, like you said, seen just breaking apart, and we are on one side jumping, and that's now our earth and that's their earth. But it's of course about the shift of the understanding and meeting each other. Now I can see you, or I just, see you like, who are you, or I don't care about you. So you don't see me then if you actually even don't care to look about into my eyes, or care what I have to say. All right. And that's exactly where we are going to slowly find this peace, that we don't need to perform anymore, that I'm stronger, I'm better, I have more, I don't have more. That is so exhausting. It was exhausting in all levels to be something, someone, to fit through that performance, to be somehow, and that's the control mechanism of a certain role. And now we can slowly free ourselves from that mechanism, that I need to hold it together. Otherwise, they gonna think I'm not good and I'm too less and I'm a someone living on the street, or whatever it is. That's all still coming from that hierarchy thing. So we can find a system where we can, like a clockwork. That's always a beautiful example. In the clockwork, no one is now more important, but each role is important, that we're functioning together and it's moving together, right? And it's the same with this new, let's call it in a way, system, but it's not even a system, but just this new field where we can then meet. I don't know, I'm amazing with making bread, so I'm bringing that. You are amazing with, I don't know, hugging me. So, whatever it is, and we can really then exchange, and it's enriching each other without even thinking, oh, but he knows more or I know more. You're just in a different quality, which is equally beautiful and important for this unified field we are all in, right? So it's not a fantasy. It's not something, it sounds, wow, it's going to be like it actually will be like a heaven on earth, because you're going to see each other more with compassion, more with understanding, and less like, why are you like that? Like, and this is also, sorry, I'm getting so much info to share, but it's also about our, for example, parents, which I was mentioning before, that they were my hook, where I thought, why can't I move on, right? And just be free and do all of my stuff, which I'm anyway doing, till they got me back. They are still as well our elders, right? So they have as well something, one thing which will be important, or it is a gift that I can then go into this guardianship of becoming actually more this mature, like this bird when the mother kicks the bird out and now you have to just fly, right? And that's the same here. So I can't leave, or I couldn't leave, till actually I'm not respecting their ways. I'm not saying I'm leaving it on, because I'm already bringing a new way, but till I am actually subconscious or subtle blaming again, separating. How can I move in a unified field? Impossible. Impossible. We
Yes,
will
that's
loop back.
yeah. You bring up some really good points there. The first one I want to say real quick is well, okay. You know how if you talk to women and you talk to men, okay, the women are going to tell you, I went to go talk to the man and I told him my problem. And what does he want to do? He wants to fix it. Well, I don't want you to fix it. I just want you to hear my problem. And then the man, if you ask the man, well, I went and told the woman my problem, and what does she want to do? Like the mother, she wants to fix it. Well, what is that? That's the wounded healer. This is a mask that we all put on to try to gain a greater love and self-esteem for ourselves, right? And so I think that's really important what you bring up, because that's what we did. But it was necessary and it needed to happen for our evolution to get us to this point. We needed to be in service. We needed to deplete ourselves. We needed to do that so we could figure out, oh my God, I don't have to do 67 shows a month for 5 years. I can do 35 of them. You know what I mean? And they'll be more powerful, or whatever the modality or whatever the passion is. The second thing, and I think the parents are the best example, regardless of any partner you've had, or ex-partner, or children, or brothers, sisters, friends, enemies, whatever. Because what you said is very true. And it's subconscious for the most part. I can't, and this is the talk that's been unconscious. I can't do this and I can't be that because my parents won't let me. Because my parents didn't raise me right, or my parents did this, or my parents didn't do that. And you're right. And I think that's a really good metaphor that you brought up, not just for that example, but the truth is Mother Earth, Mother Universe, Iemanjá, Mother Mary, Magdalene, whatever you want to call her, the one, the original, she's kicking us out of the bird's nest now. That's what's happening. She's kicking us out of the bird nest, and so anything, like, we're not going to be able to suckle on her breast for nourishment anymore. We're not going to be able to take worms out of her mouth, and let her feed us. She's kicked us out of the nest. It's time to create a new, which is why and how she started all this, to expand. And as each one of us is a, like they say, a small fractal of that universal, each and every step we take is to expand our soul individually, and therefore the universal experience, which is what this is all about. Yeah, so I think you made some great points there. I just wanted to point that out. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. You also then every time trigger something more, which I can share. I love it. I'm on fire. So that not just that we were like babies. I mean, I will speak now just globally, and like someone else needs to feed us or tell us what to do and all of that. But there were also this scarcity of actually taking responsibility of life, of creating, building life, of walking the talk, etc. Because, and it's now very important to understand, it wasn't just now the fault, any kind of fault like matrix itself, but it was actually this disconnection when we are not in the heart, but when we are then more, or we've been all our life in that head, right? Because in that mind, because this is the reality here, like that, it's functioning more through the ego, self, and control, and all of that. So this means that when you're more here instead of here, you don't feel this completely everlasting security within you. That's why it was like, what should I do? Please tell me answers. Give me answers. Give me something into my hand that I can do it. So this kind of fear was coming from that, why we were almost disabled to do something real, and grow up and stand and, walk the talk, etc., because we were not really in the self stable. Okay. And then, of course, here comes a hurricane, here comes a challenge, here comes something, like I need to figure out. And many are all their life walking like that through life. And that's now just the mind story. But the body, imagine that we are all our life in that stress. I'm not actually stable. I'm not safe. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. This, of course, is still in the body system as well. And imagine now what the solar flares, what this incoming light did to the bodies. And some are still feeling, some are maybe partly through that you almost felt overwhelmed with the light coming in, because the circuits were not yet purified or not yet attuned to the new, because the body holds still the old way how the body is. And that's finally, I'm coming now to my main sharing I was waiting for, is that when I said these masters were giving me this trilogy, body healing, which I channeled. Okay, this was not something I just made up. And in the first part, we worked with the nervous system, okay? Nervous system. So this means sympathetic, vagus, and so on, okay, the back. But I'm talking now in general, all the nerve systems. So these are actually like the transmitters of light, the transmitters of source intelligence, yeah, through the body. Then the second part is the liquids in the body. They pointed out like the lymph system, that when it's not purified, again, stuck and so on, it's stacking actually water. Water is the love of grandmother. Okay. So this is like this feminine aspect, we could now say, and the masculine aspect. Okay. That's all in the physicality. It's really important to understand the body now. And again, why did it stuck? And the body showed me then in that trilogy work that there were absence of love, like in sections of the body, through, of course, different experiences of life, etc. I'm really shortening it up now, but just to make it clear. And the third part was the skeleton. Okay, so actually the foundation of reality, the foundation which holds actually this body somehow together, that these two basically essential communication streams, like the light and the water, right, electromagnetic field, is actually able to be in as a form, which then of course we project out and we see this is then our reality. And it was incredible to understand that why we need like really steps with our healing, our steps with preparation, because it would just be not possible, not just to hold more light, but we would get either crazy because the circuits all is not, connected in a new way and all of that. It just takes some time. And I went myself through that, particularly November was crazy, like the full on healing started towards, yes. December.
You're not telling me anything I don't know already. But yeah, November
Yes,
from like
exactly.
that 11/11
Yeah.
till the
Wow.
solstice was, oh my god, that was wild.
Oh, yes, exactly. And that was actually where I was most of the time not worried. Are there wars outside? What's the new politician saying? I was constantly in communication with my body. That was my biggest teacher. And
Yeah,
it will continue for many of us,
yeah, I
because the
agree with that.
body
Yeah,
is holding sacred wisdom of Gaia. So we have here the map, and I'm not just talking about DNA. We have exactly the instruction, but till the body was still holding its range, how it's functioning as a 3D body, it will only act like a 3D body. Means, I'm going deeper now, means that it is programmed through generation, etc. The moment we entered into this false matrix, when you're as old, you have these diseases. When you're that old, you have these diseases. When you're that, then you die. That's all what is still there. So I was working a lot with that stuff, like, because we have now the opportunity. That's now the good news, in a super fast way, transmute.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and when we were talking before about, that we were many years like just in these pains and in all of these different processes, because beautiful Todd and everyone who is watching, we came here not to change outside this world, but we are changing it through this work. And I'm not talking just shadow work. I'm talking about puke this out, spit this out, cry this out, like all of that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
All right,
No,
like.
you are right on the money, because the body's voice, that's probably the biggest thing about last year. It was coming on the previous couple years, but the body's voice got really loud to the point where a lot of people transitioned, but a lot of people started to really listen to their body, and not everybody has the same. You might eat a different diet than I might eat. You might have a different lifestyle than I have, but the body is telling us what we need to do. And so
Yeah.
that's become a really big factor. I love what you're saying, because there's nothing more dense and physical in this experience than the body, but yet the body, the bones contain the soul code, the vessels, the blood pathways, the neurological, the electric system. I mean, come on, the nervous system has come on in a lot of conversations in the last 3 or 4 months in regard to how I feel. Because how we feel seems to be the way that we navigate this thing, no matter what conventional wisdom is or society says, it's how we feel. The other thing that you bring up, which I don't feel enough has been said about, is there has been a lot of endings and beginnings. And sometimes you end and you won't see him again or see it again for a long time, maybe in the next life, maybe this life, maybe some, and then some begin again. But they're higher and better versions of energies, right? And higher and better versions of connections. Now, what I'm saying that has not been talked about is we are no longer, as far as I can tell, and I think you're saying kind of the same thing, this is part of leaving the nest. We're no longer going to be allowed to be in environments. Let's say I have a group of 3 or 4 people, okay? And I stay in touch with those 3 or 4 people. And those 3 or 4 people tell me what I want to hear. And it may be unconscious to me, but in other words, there's no catalyst effect. There's no friction. There's just this convergence of one narrative or one story, which really is the old paradigm. So I would say that it would be most likely that this has already happened to a degree, and that there's going to be more and more disconnections, because the universal energy is not going to allow for you to stay like this. It's just not. The same stories, the same. It's just not. We came into this to expand. Every one of us has the infinitesimal fortitude within our bodies, the code that we put in there so that we would not give up, so that we would maintain our faith and continue to make these choices, and leaving parts of us behind that we accumulated during these experiences. And we also got to remember that this isn't just about this life. It's about previous lives, and it's about ancestral lineage, and sometimes it's the collective. But that's not an excuse anymore, because that change, like you said, comes from inside. And I'm just saying, at a human level, we can't expect to grow if we're surrounded by basically old mirrors of ourselves. So if friendships, relationships, businesses, connections haven't been tested yet, then I would
Oh,
bet
yeah.
you that they're most likely going to be tested, because people are
Mhm.
going to, more and more people are seeing the truth frequency. That's why, if you look at the global stage, you see so much gaslighting. Like you see something on a video and you go, that just happened. Like, no, it didn't. No, that didn't happen. Like, what? So I think the reason it's
I saw
happening,
it.
you know what I mean? But I think the reason it's happening is
Yeah.
not to say, oh, they're bad people, or that's a bad government or a bad newscaster, but it's to go here and say, wait a minute, I don't care what the world's telling me, I know what I'm looking at. And part of that, I think, has to come from removing ourselves from what we consider to be our comfort zone. But
Yes.
the reality is, the only reason it's comfortable is because we know what it is. So when we make
Mhm.
this new choice and we make this leap into 5D and we stop talking about it and we make the leap and we walk the talk, we jump
Mhm.
into an unknown, and that's all we know. All we know is what we don't know. And I wake up in the
Mhm.
morning. I wake up in the morning after talking to you and say somebody else today on another show, and everything that we talked about was, like, say, in the higher frequencies of truth. There were things that were said by her, there was things that were said by the other guest or this person or that person or that I experienced. But when I wake up tomorrow, there's higher truth. The road is a little
Mhm.
more clear. So
Mhm.
all you know what I mean. It's a whole different existence. It's got no basis of yesterday, of tomorrow. It's got no
Yeah.
basis of history. It's got no basis of
Mhm.
future aspects of us coming to visit us. It doesn't even have a basis of ETs or it. It's just
Mhm.
us. All of it's contained within us, and it's this mundane, simple
Mhm.
kind of kind of drudgery, human part of our multidimensionality, the very physical, the body, that makes these final choices and really is the basis of our growth, because it takes that human consciousness to say, you know what, I've had enough. I'm going this
Mhm.
direction. Thank you.
And yes, and not to forget, thank you for this summary, that why isn't it anymore, like you said, so important, and this galactic, or was this yesterday, or what we will learn tomorrow, or all what you said, because we are about this embodiment. The soul already gathered this information through the experiences we lived, but this wants to go now somewhere, right? Not just, okay, we forgot it. No, we embody that. And when you embody all these different, let's call even the different roles, then of course you're not anymore just a high priest, just a king, just a queen, just a whatever, high priestess from Atlantis and so on, because it's losing its one form, because then you would be again just fragments of the soul, and we are coming into, hey, we're coming into a collection now. We are collecting this all and actually finally anchoring it into the body, because that was actually the main thing, that through all these different keys, let's call them keys because they all have some knowledge in them, in those roles, in these experiences, then of course we can switch on the whole thing, and then we can start to talk about, not just talk, start to walk and embody this beautiful homo luminous, right? Like this golden human, the golden race starting, where everyone in the whole universe is actually waiting and watching, not waiting, but like watching, because they know that we are evolving into that. So this means that we have so much knowledge that we thought, oh, if I'm just the high priestess, if I'm just the goddess, then I'm already this amazing, whatever, being or
Yeah,
human, right?
yeah.
But actually take this in, because you're the most potent when you are then, for example, um, a little delay, yeah, Todd or Gaby in the here and now, because we can now like almost, pick that fruit, like, okay, I can go when I was this Greece goddess, I can go into Egypt, I can go, and you can just pull it out from your whole soul field as this embodied human in this now moment. And this is still what many are actually triggered, are looping in, because it sounds so amazing to hold on to. I was Isis. And another one will say, I was Isis. And
I thought
another
I
one will
thought
say,
I thought I was the only one that was going to make people mad today. No, that's a great point too. There were 2 points. One, which obviously
yeah.
we have to let go of those things, whatever those energies are, incarnated or not. It's
Mhm,
just part of it. Sometimes the things that get you to a certain point aren't
mhm,
necessarily the things that are going to get you to the next point. So, say you imagine, metaphorically speaking, you climb a mountain and you climb all the way to the top, and the next place to go is a star. Well, you're not going to be able to get there the way you got up the mountain. So that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Now, the other thing
mhm,
that is a really good point, I feel, and I recently experienced this with music, because early on in my reawakening in 2011 and 12, I received, like a lot of people, I had my own divine episodes. I had 6 ascended masters sit with me for a couple of weeks each. One of them introduced something about music and said to me,
mhm,
oh, by the way, there's something about music that you and I are going to work on, or something like that. Because this is back in the
mhm,
day, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, where we saw those energies outside of ourselves. We hadn't quite
mhm,
embodied them. So recently, I had some things, personal things, come to me like, oh, you're going to do this and you're going to do that. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to do this, and it involves music. So I did what you said. I sat down in meditation and I called, hang on a second. I called it within myself. I called that part of me forward to reacquaint
mhm,
and to acknowledge and to say, okay, I want to tap into this talent
mhm,
or this consciousness, so
mhm.
I can manifest this and live this purposely, within this physical incarnation. So that's a really good point. I'm really glad that you brought that up. Thank you very much.
Most welcome. And it's actually what we were talking about at the beginning regarding untapped potential, which the soul is now almost nudging us like, hey, the journey is so much more richer than just staying in that role. And this, of course, is I don't know if I want to say the hook of the ego, which was so hard building the identity, Todd or Gaby being, I don't know, the musician or being this or being that for so long time. And it's so precious. I can't just let that go. And I'm not even sure if I'm going to find, more potential and so on. And that's all when we're still operating from the limited version and vision of reality, because there, of course, you're limited. So the mind will tell you, well, you have a good job, just hold on to it, there will be not a better one. That's all the logic thinking that it knows so much, but actually it's limited. When you go into the heart space, and that's why we all called, to operate with the heart, which is then the entrance or the exit, whatever you want to say, with the soul. Okay. And they're one in one. I mean, everything is, of course, they're one. But just to say, from there, it doesn't have edges. It's like this eternal space where you're birthing constantly. Yeah, you can be this or try that. And an important part is for many, even those now watching, is that how to succeed further into this new role. And I want to use the word succeed because, not to be frightened, to let go, that you can calm the ego identity, which still think that, this dying now of the old version is terrible and I'm going to lose everything, my job, my money, my house, my all, that it can offer this solace or this peace inside to just say, hey, where is this joy? Can you remember I was maybe dancing outside and the rain was pouring on me and I was just like in the night and wet. But I was so much laughing at that night, pulling back those not just memories, but it will activate within you joy. And that's the way forward. So
It's
our,
like a
let's
feeling.
call it,
Yeah, it's like a
yes,
feeling in the body.
yes,
I do that, and I don't. And I think
yeah,
what you're saying is, I found that I go back to the way it felt. Now I'll
mm-hmm,
remember what made me feel that way, or what the experience
mm-hmm.
was, but I'm really tapping into to the way I felt. To me, it's a great way to really realign with yourself and ground. Well, thank you for mentioning it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because as well, um, we will not lose everything, right? We actually just merging it together. And because we're merging, it starts to feel almost neutral. And that's why you think, oh, I don't have the title anymore. I don't have the position anymore. I have not that, because the control is melting into this merging of those aspects of yourself, of these experiences. Okay. And when you can really tap into, not that you have to go back and just dance now naked outside and then you have your purpose again, but that you remember, hey, I felt before high vibrational, I had moments I felt joy, I had moments I felt inspired. These are all things which are still lingering, and they are your um, catalyzer for going forward into whatever this new space will be, the new job, the new exploration, right? That you're not going there fearful, because that's the ego identity still thinking, oh, you can't let go, that's crazy, it's a bad idea, we need to have any control here, right?
Yeah,
A
that's
plan
good.
here.
Good luck. Good luck with that. Good luck. But
Exactly.
you know, you bring up a really good point too, though. Like I've had a couple of out of body experiences, which I would consider very much like near death experiences. Okay, most of the near death experiences and out of body experiences you hear about, they talk about a life review. They talk about feeling the connectivity and so on. But just as you're talking about those things that we do as we make new choices in our lives from a
Mhm.
higher level of alignment and connectivity, and again, no fear. The other side of that is it's even in those things, it's even in the near death experience that I've had or that someone's
Mhm.
had, we have to let go of. And like you said, it's
Mhm.
still part of your composition. But if you look on, the internet, you look on YouTube, there's
Mhm.
entire platforms that are just one show after the other of near-death experience, and everything has its purpose up to a point. But we're talking about
Yeah.
the individual evolution and really what does it take. And the only way you can really try to figure out what it takes is to talk about it as it's happening, not yesterday, not what happened 2 weeks ago,
Mhm.
like right now, because it's a new truth every day.
Mhm.
But that's a real big one.
Mhm.
That's no different than I was so-and-so in a past life, or I was from this planet,
Exactly.
or whatever. You don't know. You're never going
Mhm.
back. Yeah, you had the
Mhm.
experience, a near-death experience, or you met a 12-foot angel, or whatever the case was. It doesn't matter. These were faces of the universe. This was your higher self and soul presenting a reflection to you that you needed at the time. So we're having to move away, not because it's right or wrong, because the universe doesn't play. And we're having to
Mhm.
let go of things that we never thought we'd let go of. But the bottom line is,
Mhm.
how can you let go of something which you're always connected to? So, like you said,
Mhm.
you're
Mhm.
not losing anything, but we
Yes.
don't think about, we think about the government or religion or this or that having power over us, and we've worked with that.
Mhm.
But what we don't
Mhm.
think about is our own story, right? Our own characterization of our own expansion, ascension, whatever you want to call it, our over identification with that past life, our over identification with our light language, our over identification with our ability to go into the Akashic
Exactly.
records, or our near death experience, our uniqueness that supposedly makes us different than everybody else, when in reality we're all the same. And that's the object of the game, is to see the connectivity, because it's constantly speaking back and forth in a
Rah!
present. You know what I
Roar it
mean?
out.
But
I
you know
can
what I'm
feel
saying?
you. You're
Yeah.
like, yes, it's
But you know
good.
what I'm saying?
Hmm.
It's not like, I'm sorry. Look, I've had to give up. You've had to give up. I mean,
Yeah.
I moved here in this summer thinking I was going to live happily ever after with my beloved,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then
Mm.
2 or 3 months later it goes, or a few months later it goes away. Well, those things have to be let go. Now, what happens? And that's just one example. It happened with SOULOGY too. And I'm just using myself as an example because it's something, people might be able to relate to, because I know it's happened for other people. But what happens? They come back. It's a stronger connection. It doesn't look like a normal lifestyle, because
Hmm.
the world will tell you, oh, you're supposed to go live on top of a hill next to a lake in a cabin and live happily ever after. No, this is the real deal. This is getting kicked
Hmm.
out of the nest, and we're getting kicked out of more than one nest. We're getting kicked out of many nests. What was my role as a
Yes.
son? What was my role as a partner, as a father, as a businessman, as a friend, as an there's like a
All
bunch
of
of
it.
them. But I
Mhm.
really feel that they've come down now, and it's reflected in the voice, in the consciousness of the body, like where you started with this
Mm.
conversation. That's
Yes.
it. That's as far as we have to go now. We don't have to go out there
Yes.
anymore. We can just tap in right here, because
Mm.
as within, without, the basic hermetic principle. I mean, that's a reality. And as you said, we didn't come here to change the world. And I
Mhm.
love that. I haven't heard anyone actually say that. And that's one of the best sayings I've ever heard. We didn't come here to change the world. We came here to change ourselves. And by virtue of that, the world changes, right?
Mhm.
That's pretty
Exactly.
cool. That's pretty
Mm.
cool. I mean, I like that. Thank you.
Exactly. Because again, this is the world. That's Gaia. So that's where we're standing on, if you want to say so. And that's exactly the point, what you were saying, that if we want to see something else, and if this is the vibration constantly showing us what's going on there, because that's what's going on here. So what else to expect? This new world or this new experience, it of course has to come from this inside. And it's again, not just a mental training or purification or something emotional, it's even physical. And that's where we came now, to get into the deepest part of ourselves, which is something we were all, especially star seeds and more the sensitive ones, walking on tiptoeing around, instead to go fully into, because there we were so in tune. There are the angels, everyone understands us, so why would I deal with some politics and war, and it feels painful being in the body. So now let's always just be a little bit outside of the body. That's how we lived a long time. That's why we were not even reliable, what we were trying to dream into existence, because it couldn't anchor. It can only anchor when we anchor it through the body into form. So that's the densest part of who we basically are. And that's what we came to experience, that we see, can we really switch on this divine spark in physical form, which is the most dense consciousness form of what there is, basically, right? To go so far away from, let's call it now metaphorically, from source into this depths, where is basically, yeah, even separation and everything what was waiting here for us. And we are now unifying this within the body, not in our brain, not in our nice meditation things and so on. Actually, if we want it physical to experience now, we have to unify it physically. So this means, okay, where is my body showing me that there is still pain? So is there, I don't know, I'm going to say now, just is there a cancer? What is a cancer? Some energetic stuck energy. Why is it in the breast? Did I really dismiss my feminine side, or there was something with my mother, or so much knows the intelligence of the physical body, and we actually numbed this high intelligence of our body.
You
We
said that.
numbed it with
Yeah, you said that at
hmm?
exactly 1 hour and 44 minutes and 44 seconds.
Wow.
But that's another thing
Thank you,
that
God.
that's another thing that you're saying too. Like the way you're describing it, I think a lot of people over the last year or so could relate to this a little bit because it is an internal conversation. There's nobody else involved. The days of us asking this person, asking that person, or going to this healer or going to that healer, and the universe isn't allowing this anymore. It's not allowing us to do the things we were doing and rely on the ways and means that we've been utilizing. One of those things too that I feel is important, and you kind of touched on it, is because it's the same thing. It falls in the same category. What works for me, look, I'm doing the best I can. I'm just going to use me as an example. You're doing the best you can. I'm doing the best I can. We're all souls coming into an awareness that we're having this human experience, and all the coding and all the information is within this physical body. So, we're all coming from the same place. In other words, part of what is really taking its time, leaving our field, or I'm just going to say in general, is the need to know, the need to be right, and the need that I have to tell you what you need to do. You need to eat this way. You need to eat this or not eat this, or drink this or not drink this, or smoke this or not smoke that, or have this practice, or do ayahuasca, or know it's bad, or whatever the case is. This is part of our evolution, is to be self-sourced and self-aware 100%, because as you said before, I didn't come here to change you. I came here to change me. And all of us can attest, especially over the last couple of years, when we have expansion in our life, we see it in others. Like I've had several people in the last half of this year tell me, "Oh my God, these people that told me I was crazy 4 and 5 years ago, they're now calling me up asking me for advice, or they're saying, 'Oh, you were right about this.'" So the outside changes in all of its different energetic faces, right? And you know what I mean? And so really another way to say that is stay in your own lane. Because I don't know about you, but working on me and being focused on my evolution is a full-time job. I don't have time for anyone else,
Full
you
time.
know?
Full
Right?
time.
You know?
Yes.
Thank you.
Big full time. Thank you too. Because that's exactly the point. I don't have even energy now. Who will vote for this president and this and all of that? Distraction, distraction, distraction. Far away from my body again. Distraction. Let's go and just party. Distraction. Far away from my senses of the body. Distraction. That's what I was saying. We were pretty much cut off, or even like I said, we don't want to be on this planet. So this means you don't want to be fully in your body. Again, I will bring it up that people just get used again, that when we talk about Gaia, body, earth, we're talking about our own body, the human, not even shell, it's like a whole temple space, okay? And where did I want to go with that? That actually, yes, it's again this maturity, not leaning anymore. Mama out there, Papa out there will tell you, show you, even give you the finger that you didn't do it right or that you did it right, and so on. But that it's really about sovereignty. We love so much to write about posts saying sovereignty or voice its sovereignty. But sovereignty is exactly taking responsibility, excuse my French, of your shit, of your body, of do you need to sleep, do you need to eat, not like someone will do that for me. So that's
Yeah,
actually that we
and so
come
which
then.
means that you can't do it for somebody else. So get off your high
Exactly.
horse, because look, you know what, the whole what is it called, the whole wounded healer archetype, which we've all had, okay, and probably still have to some degree, is really based on narcissism. I'm sorry, but no, really, it is, because if I think that I can heal you, solve you, and this is my job to go around fixing people, then I must think that I'm superior to you.
Yeah.
Because if we're all souls, then we all have the connection to the infinite mind and heart and soul and spirit, and we have the ability to get where we need to. And there is no comparison or competition or measurement here. I don't know where you came from. Let's say that you started right here coming into this life, and I started here, okay? And we both end up here. Now, who traveled farther? You did. It might look like I traveled farther or I was ahead. So, there's so much that we are coming into that's leaving us. And some of it we're not even conscious of in a good way because it just leaves and we don't even miss it, like time, the way time's happening. And some of it's in a bad way because there is an underlying resistance to letting go of that pain, that trauma, that identity, that past life, that light language or that gift or skill or whatever that seems to make us unique. It might still be a part of us. It might be part of our soul personality and our soul makeup. But from a human standpoint, look, either like this conversation has been great, okay? I'm not, and you're not, we're not trying to explain who we are to each other. We just are who we are. We're just talking about what the hell's going on. And this is what I'm seeing. This is what you're seeing. Like, you know what I mean? It's like my soul would always come in and tell me early in my evolution, who are you trying to convince, Diane or yourself? So, my soul says this, and you said, excuse your French, but this is SOULOGY, so you can say anything. We're banned on Facebook right now, so that's probably why. But my soul always comes in and says, and I'll say, well, why am I having this problem? You know what? Okay, here's what you need to do. You need to shut the fuck up and get out of the way, okay? And just get in the passenger seat. You're the soul, and let it drive from that perspective versus the human. Take a break, man. You've been through a lot. And so to me, the regulator or the temperature gauge, the oil gauge, is the nervous system. Like that's just a simple way for me because I can be walking down the street going, why do I feel like this? Why am I doing this? What is that? What's on my mind? Then the body comes in and says, oh. Or you have those things like you're talking about. You have all these things happen in your body, and then you start to ask the body, well, what is it? Well, September, October, November, December, I had all these things happen on the right side of my body. My shoulder, my elbow, and then all of a sudden, the first of the year comes, and I get a sty on my left eye, right?
Oh.
My feminine side. And then I have this other thing happen on my feminine side on my jaw. And so I'm asking my body, what's going on? Oh, well, this is what you said. It's just what you said. This is concentrated stuff from ancestral lineage. Some of it might even be your karma. Some of it might be this or that, but it's just concentrated blockages that are breaking up, going back to where they need to go, right? It's real. It's real. Yeah. You try to, you go to a scientist or something, they're going to say, well, prove it. You can't scientifically prove that. No, I can't. No, I can't. But that's the world I live in now. I don't live in this other world that has all these fucked up rules and all this distortion and distraction. And you want me to buy into that? Fuck that shit. I've done that enough. I'm going to try something new, right?
Exactly. Oh my God. I'm getting all this energy coming in while you're talking. Thank you for that. Because it's actually the body. I can feel your body's consciousness, okay? And it's not just now a message for you, but like for all of us. And that's why I'm laughing so heartfelt, actually, because not, oh, you had pain, and I'm laughing, how amazing, but because it's about the rules I was saying before, the old body rules. We could say the limited consciousness of the body. It was the same limited mind, limited emotional, limited physical, okay? Because it was in the matrix was the rules. You have all sorts of diseases, and now, work through it. But then we get worried, what if I die from the cancer? What will they give me in the hospital, and so on? So these are all what was going on in this limited version of our body. But the laughter is coming from that unlimited intelligence of the real intelligence of the body, okay, which is now unleashed, especially why we're talking so much about it. And it's saying, when you in that state of knowing your soul, knowing your actually divinity, having this experience, now we actually came here to work through the body. That's how we are actually then working through the earth, and that's how we are raising and changing and etc. and so on, and freeing from this false whatever construct of reality. Is that when you know, so let's call it know thyself, that's not just one expression, but when you do know that consciously, you are aware of it, then you again not a victim when you have these physical symptoms, because then you're actually this bright light, you're this your source basically, okay, and then everything changes. Then you're not working anymore as someone who has all these eye problems and this and that and so on, and I'm again victim of these circumstances, but actually then I am the soul in the driver's seat, and I'm actually knowing that means here's something else which I'm right now purging, because I'm opening here a pathway for my potential from, let's say, the feminine comes more out. So actually it's showing us the passageways where there's still something, next door wants to be open, next door wants, and that's how we're leaving the construct of our security zone, which we mastered. That's why we didn't want just to leave it, because it's so good there. We know everything about it. We hear the chiefs, all right? But that we are now opening these new passageways because it's now available. And of course, there will be here and there still, and suddenly that you're going to find, so this was blocking me, or this was holding me till this point that I couldn't cross the border. Now I found it. This is still, I don't know, a belief system, or that's still something from my mother, and so on and so forth. And I got, and that's also something which is now time to share, when I had the symptoms with my body, okay, also some purging, some pain, in this master download, actually it was Yeshua firstly coming, and saying that we can miraculously heal the body, and heal means nothing else than, bring it back online to its original state of the higher intelligence, which it has, through actually, it was called, that was the expression, God's seed. So this God's seed, we can say now God's spark, but I could watch how this, for example, one seed, I was guided, for example, I had here some pain, bring it there, and I could watch how it was starting to multiply, more seeds, more seeds, more seeds, and they were taking all, let's say, this dark place or this block, and pop it, and then this light, we'll say now, but it's actually more than light. It's the original divine matrix. It's the original source intelligence structure. You can use now all these words again, right? But it's just this essential coding, God code, okay? And with this, when you are that in the driver's seat, you are bringing it there, you are starting yourself to, again, human version of word, reprogram it back to its original state. And it doesn't need to be dramatic, huge, this, that, and so on. But we can get now new, simple, but most powerful tools, ways how we can actually get faster in that alignment. Not anymore endless medicaments, endless this, endless pain, and so on. Because again, that's the old version of your body, of your thinking. And that's also what the body told me some 3-4 days ago, when I had still something going on. I will be open with my period, okay? And I was like, it's a bit long now, isn't it? And the body said, do you again compare with the rules, how they said the body needs to be 7 days, not longer, and only this, and so on. And I was like, oh my God, you're actually right. Okay. It was like, that's how we're getting out of something we knew till now. New rules, which are actually ruleless, not ruleless, but like limitless, I wanted to say, yes, and so much more potential there.
It's self autonomy. It's self sourcing. You know, and I'm glad to see that some of your conversations with your body are funny because some of mine are. You know, I had this I had that clog in my left eyelid, and so I tapped into it, and I heard, well, maybe you're not seeing the feminine. And I said, oh. And then I heard, and maybe the feminine's not seeing you as a masculine. And then, of course, I realized I'm having a conversation with my feminine and my masculine, and one is the same truth as the other. Because if you can't see the feminine can't see you, which amazes me. Which amazes me. I think there's going to be a lot of painful, not extended pain, but there's going to be some painful disengaging from identities in the light worker and starseed community as we move forth, because the universal energy is not going to allow us to be in the dark anymore. It's getting really loud. You realize, you know, if you don't pay attention to your body, as an example, it gets louder and louder real quick. It doesn't let you just let it sit there. You've got to face it. Now, whether it's an old memory or an old trauma that you haven't dealt with or whatever the case is, a prejudice, a bias. But like, for instance, you know, I see people out there, and I see everybody's piece as being integral for the whole thing, the universal jigsaw puzzle. Everybody has a piece. We all have different forms of evolution, and we're either, we either, like, Morgan says, you're either experiencing it or you're witnessing it. And there's not a particular order. So if I'm witnessing something that I've been before, then that's great. It's reaffirming something. If I go into judgment, then I'm probably going to revisit it again. You know, if I'm experiencing it, obviously you don't always know that till later, whatever the case is. But my point is, like, for instance, the days of, let's say that I want to teach men how to be a divine masculine. Like, I would never say something like that, because I think it's never, you never get there. You're always getting there, right? But my point is, if I'm putting out information talking shit about the feminine, or talking about how the feminine doesn't see us, or in some way or another, even if it's from the heart, lesser light upon the feminine, then how the hell can I be what I say I am? I can't. I'm it's just as much feminine as I am masculine, but there is some value, or there is some importance to me being in a male body at this time, right? So it's very strange, because at the end of last year, of the last 4 months of the year, I kept getting this whole thing about the masculine. I'm like, man, I don't want to have that conversation. I'm masculine and feminine. Like, no, you are carrying out the duties, or you're going to do this. And so after the solstice and then Christmas came, I heard, you're going to go through 3 days of darkness on the 29th, 30th, and 31st. And I thought, oh shit. They're like, it's the last part of the masculine. We're going to squeeze it out of you, right? And then my friend, Gareth Jenkins in Australia, he ends up going into an induced coma for those 3 days, right? So I knew something was happening. He came out of it. He's doing great now. He was on the show a couple of days ago. But and again, everything was on the right side of my body as I was going through this 3 or 4 month evolution, which even went longer than that. But as soon as the 3 days was over, my eye pops up, and the couple of other things on the left side of my body. And I just thought that was so interesting. But my point is, I couldn't have come into the awareness of the information that's coming to me from the feminine part of me had I not completed the initiation on my masculine side. And I'm sure the same thing will happen again. The feminine side of me will go through the initiations, get to a higher level of perception or perspective, and be able to see things now on the other side that I couldn't see before. And it just flops back and forth, I guess, you know. I can't believe we talked for 2 hours already. This is quite crazy. Well, I guess we'll have to get together.
I could go on.
Yeah, I could.
I
Oh,
could go
I
on.
could too. I could too, but I got to do another show in a couple. Well, I got 3 hours, but I had to take a break. And there's so much energy. Definitely we should do this again in a few weeks. I would say. Definitely in a few weeks. There's so much
With
more we could
pleasure.
talk about. Yeah, and
Yes,
it's
so much
very
more. Yeah.
it's very refreshing to be talking to the sisters. I've noticed this toward the end of like November and December. We had a bunch of them come on around the solstice. They just happened all, and like today, tomorrow, and the next 3 days. There's all of a sudden there's 8 sisters coming on. You know? But it's really cool
You're
to see.
feminine, so you can see
Right.
them.
Right? But you know, it's what's
The
really
feminine.
cool. Yeah, exactly. Well, exactly. Because we know that part of us has been leading this thing for a long time. But what I'm getting at is really nice to see them finding their voice. I'm not speaking like I'm outside of them. I'm saying it through those like you. I'm just saying that I'm noticing this on the show, that they're comfortable in their own skin. They're comfortable with their intel. They're comfortable and humble with their evolution. They're not stuck on it. They're giving just as much respect and credence to their human aspect as they are their soul. And
Yes.
it's time that the world has the hears with the ears, hears the wisdom of the women, the wisdom of the mother goddess, the divine feminine. It's a real thing, and it's been going on for a long time. Just look up in the sky. You see a lot more pink sunsets than you did 10 years ago. There's the reason for that. So, but anyway, thank you so much for coming in. It's been a really good time. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. If you're catching this on Facebook, it is a replay because we're banned until January the 27th. You can find us on YouTube and X. I'm trying to get us on to Instagram, TikTok, and Telegram and Rumble, but I'm having some difficulty there. There's some kind of network with these social media platforms, I'm convinced, because Telegram turned me down. They have no reason to, but I'll keep working on it, and we appreciate everybody's love and support and contributions that allow us to keep doing this every day. And
Thank you.
Sister, I will see you in a few weeks. I'll send you a message, and we'll do this again in a few weeks. And just keep
Looking
doing what you're
forward.
doing. And thank you for your service. And keep shining, stand tall. And if I don't see you on this side, I'll see you on the other side or both. Okay?
Exactly. We're sailing together. Thanks so much. Much love to everyone. And just keep yourself always, just pull yourself into the heart. That's the last message I just point out again. So this means if it's too much in the head, just have the intention, I'm back in my heart, and then do
Yeah.
the next step.
Very
Thanks so
true.
much.
Very true. You
All
take care.
right.
All right. Bye-bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
you too. Much
Okay.
love.
Take
Bye.
care. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you.